Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel, and we're back with a match reaction after Manchester United get into the quarter-final of the Europa League. You know, a good professional performance by Manchester United, you would have to say, and I'm really, really happy with it. First half, I suppose, I have some notes here actually as well that I was taking, because obviously I wasn't live for the first half, unfortunately, but first half I think was a bit I won't say poor, because that's the wrong word, but it was a bit maybe frustrating more than anything else. I think United played into Real Betis' hands quite easily, I have to say. You know, you're going into a stadium like that, 60,000 seater stadium, and they're fighting for their lives, you know, and they weren't completely out of touch in relation to in relation to getting through to the next round. You know, it was 4-1 going in. You get an early goal, you get the crowd behind you, you get everyone cheered up, and it you know, you never know what can happen. You know, let's put it that way. So I think Manchester United were quite naive in that sense in relation to, you know, the first half. I think they allowed Betis to dictate the tempo of the game, and we kind of played into their hands a little bit. The one thing I would say though about United in the first half is they did look quite dangerous on the counter-attack, and I was happy with that. The pace at which we got forward was really impressive. Our fullbacks especially, I was quite impressed with. Wan-Bissaka is impressing me more and more with his link-up play. Now his final ball and his end product still needs a lot of improvement, but his link-up play and the attacking side of his game, getting up that right hand side, is impressing me more and more as the games go on, I have to say. So I thought he was really impressive. And Malacia on the other side as well, I mean, look, Luke Shaw, bar his last couple of games, has been one of the best left backs in the league this season, if not the world. You know what I mean? He's been really, really, really good. But I have to say, anytime Malacia comes in, he's impressing me, you know, and he's impressing me more and more. I like the simplistic nature of how he plays the game. He takes his first touch, he passes it up the line, he's composed on the ball. If he needs to go back to his goalkeeper, he goes back to his goalkeeper. He played a pass in the second half into De Gea, and he fucking zipped it into him. And De Gea had to be on his toes. He really did. He had to be on his toes to take his first touch. And that's what I like about him. He links up really well with Rashford anytime the two of them are playing together up that side as well. So I thought he was really good. Defensively, it's a clean sheet for United as well. You know, we do have to mention that. Of course, Martinez has his usual sturdy game. You know, no mistakes. Cool, calm and collected, you would have to say. Whereas Maguire, on the other hand, look, he has a clean sheet. Maguire is good at certain things. He's good at winning headers, and he's good at maybe carrying the ball out from defence, you would say. You know what I mean? Outside of that, he's limited, you know, and there was one stage in the first half where Wan-Bissaka was on the attack up the right-hand side, and they counter-attacked back down the same... Oh, no, sorry, it was back down through the middle, but obviously Wan-Bissaka was ahead of the ball, and a ball was played, I think it was Jose Perez was in that inside left channel, and Maguire was just destroyed for pace. He was just destroyed for pace. He really was. And that's the worry. And I think, look, I don't think he's going to be at the club much longer. I really don't. That's the worry when you're playing him in a team, is the pace on your opposition's counter-attack can really hurt you. You know, and I think that kind of filters into your fullbacks. Whatever, Maguire generally plays on the left of the two centre-backs when he's playing. Historically, when he's played with the likes of Lindelof and even Varane. But when he's playing with Martinez, he plays on the right-hand side. And we can see, regardless of what side he's playing on, there's nearly a reluctancy for fullbacks to get forward, because they know they're going to need to do a lot of covering coming the other way, you know. So it's frustrating that way. Midfield, you know, Casemiro, you know, we don't really have to talk about Casemiro anymore, do we? He gives his standard solid game, you know, minimum 7 out of 10 every week. But the one, if I'm being hypercritical of Casemiro over the last couple of weeks, besides the sending offs and things like that, his passing has got a little sloppy, I think. There was once or twice in the first half there today, and one particularly very early on where he played a ball right across the back line, kind of blind. He just played it over his shoulder and they intercepted and they got in. He gave it away once or twice in the first half. But again, look, his pros are going to drastically outweigh his cons 99.9% of the time. So no real big issue there. But yeah, get your player ratings into the chat as well, guys. Hit the like button for me if you're watching, if you haven't done so, and get your player ratings into the chat. I'm going to go through them in a moment, and get your man of the match in as well. Fred, look, was Fred. You know, you can get an average, a terrible, or a brilliant game. I think he was on the average side of it today. So nothing really to, no complaints about Fred. Bruno Fernandes was sloppy in possession a little bit. But again, we kind of take that with a pinch of salt, really, with Bruno Fernandes, don't we? I think 9 times out of 10, I'm happy with his performance. But the one thing, and I've mentioned it a good few times already this season, the one thing I really am happy about with Bruno Fernandes is his work rate, and I took note of it. His work rate is phenomenal. We took a corner in the first half after, I think it was about 15 or 20 minutes, and Bruno took the corner on our right hand side, and they cleared the ball and counter-attacked. And I would say it was less than 15 seconds later, Bruno Fernandes made a challenge on the edge of our box to win the ball back. His work rate is phenomenal, I have to say. I'm really, really happy with it. Niall says, too slow for a Ten Hag team. Yeah, look, I understand what you're saying, Niall. I really do. I think when you go into a game 4-1 up, away from home, you're kind of nearly automatically going, right, damage limitation. I think we were quite fast in the first half, if I'm being honest. I think we were too fast in the first half. I think we should have slowed the game down more, because we don't need to score. We just need to see out the game, game management. And I think the good teams, the great teams, you would be saying to yourself, do have good game management. Your Liverpools, historically down through the last few years, your Man Cities, these kind of teams, do tend to have good game management, and I think that's what we need to get into our game a little bit more. Paul says the match is over. You are too late. Terrible. Can't get the staff these days. I was on for the second half, Paul. I was on daddy duties for the first half, so apologies about that. Ben says Casemiro, man of the match. Simple, no mistakes, and good turn over of the ball. Forward line then. We had Pellistri. Let's start with him on the right hand side. I thought he was very lively tonight. I really did. I was happy with his performance. I think his end product needs to improve. There was a couple of times where he got in good positions where he could lay off the ball or put players in, and his end product wasn't good enough, or there was 1 or 2 chances where he got in himself and he just didn't seem confident enough to go on and take the strike. But that'll come in time. The fact that the kid is constantly looking for the ball, he's always in good space. He didn't give the ball away an awful lot. He was just maybe once or twice a little bit kind of poor with his final ball. I thought, happy days. Really, really happy with him. Marcus Rashford on the left, does what he needs to do, doesn't he? I thought in the first half, I have to say, he looked a bit tired. He looked a bit leggy. And then he got into a bit of a scrap with one of their defenders right down in the corner. And that nearly sparked him into life a little bit. And he carried that on into the second half then. He missed an unmerciful, easy chance from the 6-yard box, just outside the 6-yard box. And got the 60-degree wedge in underneath, and it went up into Rose Ed. But what was it, 2 minutes later, he gets the ball on from about 15 yards out, more even. He was outside the box, so He was what? He was 20, 22, 23 yards out, buried it. So happy days. He does what he needs to do. Weghorst, it was probably one of his quietest games, I would have to say, in terms of link up play. That's usually what he's good at. That's usually what he does better. Again, it's a game without a goal for him. Look, we understand his limitations, but it's going to be it's the summer can't come quick enough. We need another striker. You know what I mean? We really do. Oshin says, I'd be a lot more forgiving of Palestri's final ball than I would be of Sancho's. Absolutely, Oshin. I agree with you there 100%. Substitution. Sancho, obviously, we'll get into Sancho first. I thought he just looks like a player void of confidence, if you ask me. His decision making wasn't good. He got into the box a couple of times where he could have tucked the ball into his left foot and took a strike. He seems to slow down and come back an awful lot more. Like Oshin is saying there, he gave the ball away a few times. So I think it was a poor performance out of him. Who else have we got? Sabitzer done well when he came on. I was happy with him. His energy levels, got a couple of good shots away. Alanga I think it's time for Alanga to move on, in my opinion. Delo didn't have a lot to do. It was basically game over when he came on, 75 minutes. And Lindelof, the same. But yeah, let's get into player ratings, guys. Get your player ratings into the chat as well. Let me know what you think. We'll start with the back line. David De Gea made a couple of good saves. He's going to get a 6 from me. There's once or twice his distribution. Maybe not even his distribution, his decision making. So, say that ball that I mentioned earlier, where Malacia zipped it back to him, and he takes the first touch. He does, but he doesn't look to pass. He instantly looks to go along with it more than he looks to go short with it, and that's a frustration for me. So he gets a 6. Right back Wan-Bissaka, he gets a. Wan-Bissaka, I thought he was good. Clean sheet. Yeah, I thought he linked up quite well. I'm going to give Wan-Bissaka a 7. I thought he was good. Malacia on the other side is going to get a 7 as well. I thought he was slightly better than Wan-Bissaka. His link up play was good. He defends very simply. He sticks with a man, gets on the ball, he passes it inside, goes up the line with it. I like the simplicity of his game, I really do. And his energy levels and getting into the box at the other end is really good as well. At the back, then Martinez, he'll get a 7. Again, he's so cool, calm and collected on the ball, I have to say. He takes his first touch so good. He never panics on the ball. He rarely gives it away. And he's got a good diagonal ball on him as well. And I've seen it a lot in the last couple of games. He's getting these diagonal balls away and putting players in nearly. He put Rashford in at one stage only for a bad first touch. It would have been an assist for Martinez. Maguire gets a 6. Didn't do anything wrong. But again, we've seen the weaknesses coming out in his game. You know, the lack of pace, recovery runs. He's good in the air. He wins headers. He can step out with the ball when there's no pressure on him, but outside of that, we need to improve. You know, Casemiro 7, middle of the park. I thought he was. He didn't do anything wrong. Just won his ball, passes it, progresses the ball up the field quite good. I think. I think it was Ben was saying his turnover is quite well. He rarely gives it away, although I did have the criticism of him giving it away. But he get a 7. Fred 6, average game, nothing spectacular, nothing disappointing about Fred. Bruno, I'd give a 6 as well. Again, if Bruno could avoid giving away the ball, so softly, I suppose, his player ratings would be higher for me, because his work rate is phenomenal. I'm so impressed with his work rate and the kind of leading by example in that way, how he does it on the pitch. So he'll get a 6. Right hand side, Pellistri, I'm going to give Pellistri a 7. I thought he was very impressive. I thought he was positive going forward, always looking for the ball, looking to take on the fullbacks, looking to get the end line. I think there was only 30 seconds gone, or less than 60 seconds gone, where he got in down the right hand side and he put a cross in, and he He put a cross in high, and if he had gone low with it, Rashford was steaming in with a free shot on the goal after 60 seconds. So I was really impressed with Pellistri. Let's hope he can get some game time. It looks like he probably will get more game time between now and the end of the season, with the likes of Garnacho being injured, Sancho not firing on all cylinders, and Anthony being a bit hot and cold as well, you know. So Rashford, I'm going to give Rashford an 8. And reason being, he's on the pitch to score goals, and he keeps scoring goals. I'm so impressed with him. And like I said, the first maybe 10-15 minutes, he looked a bit leggy, but once he got into that bit of a scrap with the defender down in the corner, it sparked him into life. He just looks so dangerous when he gets on the ball, and United as a team look so dangerous when they get on the ball. So he gets an 8 for me, and he's my man of the match as well. I'm going to give Rashford man of the match. Weghorst, average 6. Again, didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything spectacular. So he gets a 6. Substitutes then, Sancho gets a 4 from me. I thought he was poor. I really did. And I don't want to be picking him out, because I said that I'm going to give him time, you know, and he is going to get time, absolutely. But he didn't play well when he came on. Sabitzer gets a 6. Didn't have, you know, a lot to do. He probably a 6.5 if we could do that, because he is his energy levels are really good. He likes a shot on the edge of the box. He gets into the box, and his defending and his recovery tackles are quite good as well. So 6.5 for Sabitzer. Who else have we got? We got Delot and Lindelof. Didn't have an awful lot to do, so they'll get an average 6 for me as well. And then Ten Hag, 7. Put out a strong team. Took a chance with the likes of Casemiro, with the likes of Bruno. You know, playing Rashford, Martinez, you know, even Wan-Bissaka to some extent, when we've got a big cup game in 3 days' time. But he got it right. United got their noses in front, and then he made the substitutions. I like how he trusts Casemiro so much. You know, Casemiro's one yellow card away from being suspended for the first leg of the quarter final, but he trusts him. He said, "Look, this guy's won it all. I'll let him have it." You know what I mean? Oshin says, let's go through some of the comments here. Ben says, it's hard on tonight's game as it was over from the start. We did what we needed to do and kept Real Betis. We were where we wanted them. Yeah, absolutely. Oshin says, he's been that way since he arrived, though, if we're honest, in relation to Sancho. Yeah. Are Pellistri, Garnacho and Rashford our future front three? Maybe so, Oshin. Maybe so. Depending who we buy in the summer. I wouldn't like to be putting the kind of pressure on Garnacho and Pellistri next season to be our front three, but certainly 2 or 3 years down the line, when those two players are ready, I'm all for it. Chris says, Garnacho and Rashford, yes. Pellistri squad player. We should buy the kid from Napoli, Cavate Shalin, or whatever his name is. Ben says, all be good players for us as our future. Yeah, look, the future is good when it comes to Manchester United and talent that we have. And I like the way Ten Hag he nearly prioritises these young players getting minimal game time but training with the first team day in, day out, then he does allowing them back to the under 21s. You know, I like that. I do, I have to say. Chris says, we may be in the market for yet another winger. Yeah, we mentioned it on the members only chat the other night, Chris. We did. That it's an area that I'm concerned about, and I think Manchester United, you know, next season will tell a lot when it comes to wide players, because Sancho needs to up his game, Anthony needs to up his game. Rashford can't be relied on for so many goals. Garnacho is still young. Pellistri is, by all accounts, is going to go out on loan. So you're looking at Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony and Sancho as our 4 wingers next year. Would you be happy? Would any Man United fan be happy going into a season on the back of, say, the inconsistency of Anthony and Sancho just falling off the face of the planet? I think it's an area we may look at in the summer. maybe getting in a, let's see, like an Arsenal bought a Trossard, for example, or would you go and get maybe a Bowen from West Ham, or you know what I mean? Just one of these players that will say, right, you'll get a bit more competition, a bit more consistency out of him. Look, let's see what happens. Oshin says, I don't think Eric Ten Hag would know how to put out a conservative team, to be honest. Yeah, he just goes strong. But I like that. I like it. I think if we can get more depth in our squad, and we can, obviously reading today that Ten Hag said he does know that that the midfield needs to improve. It does look like he does want more competition in all areas. We've signed 3 central midfielders in the last 9 months, and we still need more. So there you go. Sancho may not be a Ten Hag player. He inherited him doing the best he can with him. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. And it's not something that Ten Hag will, he's not going to fall on the Sancho sword. He's going to say, well, look, I didn't buy him. Ye bought him before I was here. I think if Ten Hag is obviously going to give him every opportunity he possibly can. But if he doesn't make it, then it's a cutthroat competition, and you have to go. John says, will be good going into a transfer market with a manager players may want to play for. United have looked desperate in the past seasons. Yeah, we mentioned that before, John. It is. It's and what I mentioned as well, it's great that, if you look back at a few seasons ago when we tried to get Bellingham and he wanted to go to Borussia Dortmund instead, because they are renowned for improving young players. Now, if we look at the job that Ten Hag has done for Manchester United, and we said it at the start of the season, his job is not to come in and buy players, not just that. His job is to improve current players. He's improved Wan-Bissaka, he's improved Fred, he's improved Shaw, he's improved Rashford. He's even improved De Gea. So that's going to bode well for us in the future to get young talent in early before other teams pick them up. So happy days. But yeah, let's see. Chris says, you have to understand a true 9 will change how wingers may play. Not a lot of trust when crossing into the box at the moment. Yeah, that's a great point as well, Chris. You put a proper number 9 in there. First of all, you're taking the pressure off of Rashford to get all the goals. If Rashford can get 20 plus goals like he's getting this season, on top of an Osimhen who's getting 30, wow, where are we going to be then? Then all of a sudden you're happy with Anthony getting 10 goals or Sancho getting 10 goals, and maybe Bruno chipping in with another 10 or 15 goals. All of a sudden you have another player coming in there now that can get the kind of numbers that Rashford's getting this season. Up you go. You know what I mean? They all laughed when Rangnick said we needed 9 or more players. There was apparently enough quality already there. Oshin, I agree with him from the second, and I think it was. I don't think there was a Manchester United fan that disagreed with Rangnick at the time, given how poor we were last season. I can't see De Jong coming, Chris. I'd love him, but he seems happy at Barca. If he's happy at Barcelona, and if De Jong doesn't want to come to Manchester United, then on you go. The last thing I want to see is United wasting another 3 months chasing one player and then panic buying at the end of the summer. That's the last thing we want. So if De Jong, if you want to come to Manchester United, get it done early. Harry Kane, if you want to come to United, get it done early. Osimhen, if you want to come, get it done early. Get the players in early. Give Ten Hag the tools he needs to bring all of his players on pre-season tour, get the majority of them on pre-season tour from day one, and hit the ground running at the start of the season. Because we've seen what happened at the start of this season and how we started. So we don't want the same thing happening. Get the players in early. Hopefully we'll have new owners and we'll kick on. Let's see. Let's get through some of the last few comments here. Look how Sancho played on the wing when he played with Haaland. Yeah. Oshin, I don't think he will either, just referring to what type of midfield. Mateus Nunez from Wolves, lots of younger options. And Ben says De Jong should be offered here, yes or no, and move on. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with what you're saying as well, guys. There is plenty of options out there, and Ten Hag has his ear to the ground. If he wants to go back to, Holland, we've been linked with a couple of Dutch, I think one Dutch striker at some stage there as well. He's earned that trust, so happy days. But look, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone who's come on. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please do. If you're new and you're watching, please hit the subscribe button. We're going to be doing this after every game now, guys, and I'm going to make it members only from now on, obviously, because I only got one half in today. So it's going to be a members only chat, the match reactions from now on. So if you want to become an official member of the YouTube channel, the link is in the description. Give it a click, check out the options, see what you think. But first and foremost, just hit the subscribe button, because that helps us out more than anything. But I appreciate it, guys. We'll be back Sunday for the United and Fulham game. And then Monday, I'm starting... Monday to Friday from now on, guys, I'm going to be doing Manchester United news shows in the mornings. I'm probably going to start doing them maybe... I know there's a lot of competition at 10 o'clock from other YouTube channels, so maybe 9:30 I might do it, but I'll let you know between now and then. I'm going to start doing daily Manchester United news shows in the mornings. I'm going to do them Monday to Friday, and then obviously take the weekends off. So that's, look, up and coming. I got a new second screen here, so I can now, jig a few things around, and I can finally do a proper news show and put things on the screen and make it interactive. And stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You get the job done. 1-0 win against Real Betis away. 5-1 on aggregate into the quarter-final. Happy days. We move on. Ten Hag is the man. #Glazers out. See you Sunday.